switched over.
Enjoyers Union, a transatlantic battle for staying in this tournament. Let's see. Actually, do we know who they're going up with? Up against whoever wins here. Hang on. Let me get the bracket.
Has not been determined yet. I do not.
Not determined yet. They will be. Yeah, they'll be going. Oh no, it has. They will be going up against the KDCM 17Q Dodgers.
Right.
Whoever wins this match. So it is elimination or KDCM. Who's advancing and who is done for this season, we'll find out soon. With me is Therax, who you just heard, co-casting on MWO Leagues 2, and our expert today is Audius.
Hey. Hello, guys.
Hello. All right. So we have, we're going to talk map control basics today. I'm going to send you over to the map room real quick here. Where Audius is going to talk to us about some map control on Crimson Strait, some basics, things to do, things to look out for, all that good stuff. In the meantime, I'll be getting the team set up in the background. Over to you, Deus.
Okay. So, Crimson Strait is quite interesting map considered when talking about map control. I always have some choice between holding points on the side of the island or fighting for theta. The thing is that if you send someone to capture this point, theta, I mean, the thing is that if you send someone to capture this point, then your forces are stretched. As a result, it makes you vulnerable to direct attacks of the island by the platform. This or this. So, on the other hand, if you control theta, then you force the enemy to attack first. And on this map, this can be a very difficult task, since the position on the attackers are always worse than the toes of the defenders. I mean that you don't have much angles on the island. You have some good position, for example, for the team 2 in this and on behind the island for the attack on the Epsi side. But the positions for the first team is always better because you have a much wider angle. There is a bunch of building and good position, so you always okay. The side of the island is always worse in this situation. Okay. Next, the map is divided into two zones: city zone behind the mountains and an islands and the coast zone. The trick is to quickly count the enemy pilots and assess the situation. Do you have an advantage in the number, so that your pack of light mechs can achieve an advantage there in theta? I mean, or conservatively, the enemy has an advantage and you must move to the attack. I mean, if the count on enemy behind the saddle is more than you. For example, Team 2 sent some mechs to cap Theta, maybe full 4 lights or mediums mechs, and another 4 pilots is stretched on the coast. Then, if you have less number of lights mechs, so you will need to run the attack on the island, because then you have I'm sorry. Because then you have more mechs and you have a good chance that that lights just mm, come back in time. Come back in time. So
All right. We'll take it's
uh,
okay, Deuce.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Do
no,
we do we have some time or not?
we're ready for map ban here. We are at time for that. So thank
Okay.
you for chatting
Okay. Okay.
map control here. We're gonna switch it on over to our map ban chat, and we can continue talking through this, but I just want to make sure that we get that switched over. But I am going to go ahead and make sure that I'm pulling up the view here, and I am ready. I'm going to tell the teams to begin. All right. All right, let's see what the first pick is. Mech Enjoyers up to choose first. A team that likes to have a fairly dynamic play style where their Wolfpack plays very much under the watch of their Overwatch. So expect them. I would expect maybe a Vitray Station first, maybe a Hibernal Rift. We shall see. I'm not seeing.
Yeah, I haven't. They're starting the
There we
bans
go.
here shortly.
Vitray Station first up for the Mech Enjoyers Union, or I'm sorry, Mech Enjoyers Regular.
Yeah, well, how are we going to call them? Let's call them Mech Enjoyers and Union today, just to
Yeah,
clarify that.
probably good. My prediction is that of these two teams, one of the Mech Enjoyers will win and one of the Mech Enjoyers will lose. Interesting. Polar Highlands second for MEU. We'll see if that is a push strat or a trade.
Maybe they're trying a cap strat there. I've heard teams have had success with that.
Yeah, especially Mech Enjoyers, they seem to be pretty well, they go at it pretty singular minded for the kill. So a cap strat could be very effective against MEU. All right, up to the sides.
And again, this is a best of 5, so teams are picking the maps they want to play, and we may or may not make it all the way down to Mining Collective.
Yes. So Vitric, Polar, Hibernal are the first ones. Excellent maps for these teams, I think. Both are very strong. All right, on Polar, Emmy, it's going to be Team 2, which I believe puts them more on the Gamma side. Easy access to Pride Rock there. All right, maintaining Team 2 into Hibernal. Let's see, Crimson Straight maintaining Team 2, so that puts ME on the Island side, MEU on the Epsilon side. And then for mining, we'll see who decides to have the open side. Any second now.
Mech
There we go.
Enjoyers. Okay.
Right, so our selection is complete. We are going to start off with Vitric Station. I'll swap it over here for you guys to talk about Vitric Station while I get these guys set up.
All right, yeah, starting these off with Vitric Station. You have anything you want to run through on that, Deus?
Or about Victory Station?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty linear map on which you must control the bridge, and in the same time your light pack must control the theta. So this map is about fighting into level in two different meaning. You can push across the bridge, or you can hold position and try to receive the push. Um, guys, sorry, I need some time.
Yeah, so I guess one of the things around this theta being the low ground position, sometimes you see some early light skirmishing around there if teams are planning to play for more of a cap receive position as opposed to just a full brawl. That'd be one thing to keep an eye on if either team tries to go for theta.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what these teams are. I honestly expect ME to be fairly aggressive. Let's see. They have Team One. I'm not entirely sure what the MEU, the Union, play style is here, but I know ME likes their Overwatch. So expect honestly a prep for a receive. Probably around Charlie 2, Delta 2, but then and with some strong Wolfpack Theta play, and then expected to move off to one of the sides if they're able to gain the initiative there. If MEU does sort of a mirror match, that'll be very interesting. I'd be very interested to see ME Taxes versus ME Tactics.
Yeah,
because it can be pretty brutal
these
combining
teams,
the Wolfpack and Overwatch.
These teams should be quite familiar with each other. They both have strong traders. Mechanjars in particular has a number of players that would stand out to me as strong traders, and then they also have some quite strong light pilots as well on both teams. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. I think Mechanjars Union kind of being the second team of the unit. I think they have to play something maybe a little bit unexpected or more aggressive to try and find a way to pull out the win. Not sure how much.
Back about a little bit of that. Just a stickler for details. MEU is more of a time zone difference.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering
team.
as well.
So it gets a little it's not necessarily like a B team, A team kind of a situation. Yeah. It's more like a Euro versus North American kind of a situation.
Yeah, and so both teams have very strong pilots. So I'm not as familiar with the pilots on Mechanjars Union as I am with the pilots on Mechanjars North American team as I play North American time zones. But there's still a couple of names that I definitely recognize on the Mechanjars Union.
Oh yeah, some very strong players. Obviously they're here, right?
Yeah.
But yes, so this one I think is actually going to be very interesting, and probably pretty close, I would imagine. But we'll see. We will see. I know there's some absolute shooters over here on ME as well.
Yeah, just waiting for the teams to ready up. I guess run through its 8v8 5 cap conquest for anyone unfamiliar with the format. 480 ton limit and some additional details on chassis restrictions and weight class restrictions. Waiting for the teams to finalize up.
Yep. So the we're at team 2 right now. Actually, I'll just send John over to the lobby since we're not talking too much about the maps here. We can watch some of these lance assignments. That's another thing. I briefly mentioned it last night, but it's worth mentioning again. When you're in private lobbies, you can see what the lances are for the other team, and that could be a really useful tip-off. Now on Vitric, yeah, it's really limited. So we should see Alpha Charlie distribution for both of these teams. Although I'm seeing Red Panda here in Bravo, which has me scratching my head a little bit.
I'm not sure if Bravo even has a quicker path toward Theta going through the end.
It's actually a little longer because you have to do some diverts. It's just a little bit, but there we are. Actually, both teams locked. So why don't we just go ahead, not belabor the point, and get these teams in there. There's the match screen. Why did it do that? All right, here we are on the beautiful Vitric Station, a map adapted. I forget, was this a Krasdax map or a Francois map? I think this was a
Francois.
Krasdax map. Oh, this was a Francois map,
Yeah.
adapted from the faction play map. And actually, you can see this is the spawn zone for the attacking team over here in these craters. And they have to move into the gates here. But here we have our quick play map as we begin. A little bit of a history lesson there for y'all. I'm over here with, I think this is MEU. Yep, this is MEU.
MEU is the red team.
Yes, MEU is the red team. Let's see, our Arctic Wolf with SRM-6 Artemis, 4 of them, so the jump jets on the prime there, I believe. SRM-6 with Hag 30 on the Highlander, Hags and Large Pulse, Hags and Large Pulse, Crusader with ERPPC, everything else fairly standard for Wolfpack. All right, let's head on over to ME, I guess, North America.
Yeah, so Mech Enjoyer's main team, or well, North American team, they've got range here for the most part. Gauss ER large out of the Supernova and the Warhammer. The Highlander is a mid-range build with large pulse LBX-20. Crusader has ERPPC.
All right, yeah, so we're looking kind of pushy, kind of trady on this side, right? Let's see. What's our Warhammer looking like here? Gauss and ERLR. So actually a little more trady on the
Yeah,
ME side than
definitely
the
receive.
MEU side. MEU holding back though, looking for that push that I don't think is coming. Both teams set up to receive. MEU moving on, picking a side, picking the right side here. Grill Squad taking some fire though, down at 88%. Dubious Squirrel in the mislinks down a bit, but that is all spread damage while Mech Enjoyers are hanging out there. Hydro Kyle trying to get some side shots in that Viper, but getting pushed down by Duke Nito. As the trades continue, both teams jockeying for position here, looking for where to move.
Yeah, both teams taking a little bit of damage. Nothing serious yet.
Grill Squad looks a little open there. Actually, I'm still looking at Grill. Yeah, Grill Squad is just really taking it right now.
Yeah, side torso
without a whole lot of sending it back. And here's the push: MEU over the top and probably jetting up the side. Right now, their Wolfpack is out of the fight, which is not where you want to be. ME taking advantage of that. Grill Squad getting focused down. All that damage here. Dejaga probably down next in the Highlander. Though it's hard to tell, Mech Enjoyers set up for the receive here, getting shots from both sides as and corralling the Union in the center of the map where every mech can come to bear here. Sky Archer going down, making it 3-0 right now. We've got a little bit of a Wolfpack fight in the back here with Dubious, Hydrokyle, Villain, Red Panda, and Direwolf just working around trying to pinch off the Union. Taiwanese Rice Farmer drops down and self-destructs. Direwolf takes down Dubious, and it's just cleanup action from here, I think. Let's see, Duke Nito still hanging out there. And Acer trying to get Unfearing, which might happen. Unfearing looking pretty close. One touch. And Acer get the shot off. Oh, it's so close. No, Unfearing takes him out first.
That's
Mech Enjoyers with a commanding surround and squeeze tactic.
That is an 8-0 victory there. So well done.
All right. Let's get some stats. Let's see here. Where is my stats program? And we'll give it a chance to update here. But in the meantime, looking at Unfearing with almost 800 damage there, just 1 point shy. Dubious Squirrel with almost 100 damage, also 1 point shy. Not to rub that in too much, but Dubious did take a lot of damage early on. We just see a tail of damage here on ME versus MEU. I think MEU getting stuck in that middle, not really sure where to go. Their push ended up stalling a bit. And let's see if this is the correct scoreboard today. Hey, there we go. It's correct.
Yeah, receive line fairly strong against the push. There was a little bit early damage to the Crusader as well with an open side torso before the push began, and the Crusader was kind of at the front leading the push. Fair bit of light and medium skirmishing as well. That was a little bit hard to track exactly what was happening there, who was high ground, who was low ground. But in the end, Mech Enjoyers manages to get the better of it. A fair number of mechs that were very low though, so it's not a complete one-sided stomp there. Indicates we should have some good matches coming up.
Yeah, and actually, we'll turn this over to our map room for the debrief, and then look at what's coming up with Audius here.
Okay. The quality of the Discord stream was very poor, so I apologize if I missed any details. I had some thoughts before the start of the match. Will it be a push from the both sides, or will team prefer to play a slow positional game using their light packs to control the central point? It seems that to me that MWO team choose a more aggressive strategy and group together for a brawl in the center of the ramps. At the same time, the Mech Enjoyer teams lined up in an almost standard composition to receive a push on the high ground, while using their lights to enter the back to the ramp from bottom to top in the backward of pushing MWO group. So that's all because it's hard to me to watch this stream, but because it's pretty messy. I'm sorry, guys. In the Discord, I mean, in the Discord.
Yep, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll fix that up. Yep. Let's see if this is anybody.
It's a pretty solid strategy when you send your light pack in the backward of attacking group on this map because there is an ramps on the center on the top, and your team in some moments will always be divided by this ramp, and in this time it's a very good moment to ambush. So most of the team, I think, use this strategy. They put some mechs on the platform and then just receive enemy teams and use the light pack and adding to this light pack some heavy mech sometimes to just control the central point and force the enemy teams to attack.
Yeah, and that push is kind of, a lot of teams feel forced into trying to make the push work. So,
but also on this, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to move us on to Polar Islands next, as I believe Team 1 has locked in.
Team 1 has not locked in yet. Nope. They're still going. Still got about 2.5 minutes.
All right. Are there any other thoughts that you want to go through here on Vitric before we move over to Polar, or are we ready to move over to Polar?
I think we're pretty good to move on to Polar.
Okay. I've got Polar up now. Adeus, if you have some thoughts on that.
Polar Highland. Guys, I'm sorry. I to my shame, I think I don't play this map on KS 2023 because of some reason. So I just leave this time.
Yeah, it's not a very popular map for most teams. We haven't seen it played all that much, so to see it as the second map here today is a little bit of a surprise.
It's got a lot of. Go ahead.
I think cap strategy on this map is could be pretty good. in some, I think,
Oh,
2D20 could run this strategy very good.
hang on, guys. I just got disconnected. I think I had a little, maybe a little hiccup. Hang on, checking my
Okay.
stuff.
Um,
Yeah, we're attempting to.
I guess here we'll run through Capstrat real quick. By Capstrat, what I don't run this map myself, but I understand the Capstrat. You kind of just send a light mech to run to Epsilon, then on to Kappa, circle around for Sigma, and head for Gamma. Kind of idea, just playing the outside of the map. Or how would you see the Capstrats being played out on Polar Islands?
Well, I think the same, but I think that you must send not only lights. You could divide your team by two sides and send some fast mech instead of light mech on the gamma to cap gamma, and another part of team you can just send by this road
Okay.
here, and you can just I just forget the word. You can make some little ambush on the Sigma because the enemy, yeah, on the Sigma, because the enemy team normally don't expect that most of the mechs took place in here,
Yeah.
I think. And this is a good position to defend because it's a high ground, and it's probably some tricky tactics could work here. But it's just me because sometimes I use this against the teams that I uh, mm, against the team that I can hold on because they just too strong for me. So
Yeah.
maybe it's
So it's a strategy you would use against teams that you think are stronger than your team, as
yep,
opposed
yep,
to
yep,
teams that
yep,
you
yep.
think you're even with or weaker against, or are strong. Yeah, are stronger than yourself. So
All right. We have both teams ready. I'm going to cut in here and get these guys launched. I am reconnected over on MW
okay.
Leagues as well, so I'm just going to go and set these guys off for Polar Highlands. Let's go. All right. And here we are in the Polar Highlands rework. Actually, let me make sure I'm on the right screen here. I am. Some communications equipment off here on the hill that never sees any plays. These nice little plains here, perfectly playable area, but no one seems to want to go there for some reason.
It is a
All
big
right, here
map.
we are. It is. I'm on the ME side here. Looks like we've got a Crusader, a Marauder 2C, a Stalker, probably some, just large pulse ER meat, so a relatively close in Stalker. ER peeps on the Crusader, the Marauder with large pulse and hags, that Arctic Cheetah 1 that'll be having all of the SRM. So it's looking Gauss and ER large on Bucks. So we've got Wolfpack push here with some pretty strong Overwatch is what I'm looking at here.
I'm seeing more brawl here on the Union side. They have a skull, but it's running the Hag 44 heavy medium laser. The Zeus is Snubnose PPC SRM. It's got a mask as well. That's probably a very fast mech, depending what engine they put in it. And just the rest of the team is going to go also with SRM red laser type stuff. So definitely an aggressive brawl deck.
So both teams pretty much even. Mech Enjoyer's eking out about what does that work out to, like 3.25 seconds? I forget. It's not, it's like one tick every second and a half or something, or second and a quarter. I'm not sure. It's not quite a 1-to-1 ratio. But yeah, it looks like we're gonna have 2 caps for ME. That's gonna start to let them pull away here as Union just sort of hangs out. Looks like they're looking for a receive a push almost, and they are tentatively branching out, very tentatively. No one going for Kappa as ME just continues to gain an advantage as no one goes for Theta either.
Yeah, they're gonna
Oh,
have
I
to
take
make
it back.
a.
Someone's looking at it. Of
Yeah,
a very tentative beginning to the match.
they're sitting back, waiting to ambush on Theta. They're not looking to just push directly here. But there's
MEU, that is, yeah.
yeah, there's no reason for Mech Enjoyers to go for Theta though. So here they're making the move now. The Union is making the move for Theta.
Yep, Hydro Kyle gonna get the scout. Let's see what he can take a look at. Hard to tell what he would be able to see here. He might have. I see him pulling back. They have called the push.
Yeah, there's some
Oh
weapons
no,
fire.
no, maybe he doesn't. I think Hydro's gonna get jumped here.
There
Hydro
was some weapons
Kyle,
fire.
Grill Squad. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Hydro Kyle getting a little bit jump, but able to get away with those strong Viper jump jets as MEU stalls a little bit for Theta. That will stop the bleed. And now they need to make their move. As they continue to bleed a bit of armor here. ME still very fresh. Grill Squad in there first and alone in the Arctic Wolf.
Carbon fire
Gonna
is
go
going
down
down.
quick already at 57%. Carbon fire goes down first though, so we are 1 for 1 right here as Duke Nito gets in here with the Zeus just starting to wreck it up. Take some damage. Looks like got legged there. Let's see, as MEU kind of make sure that everybody is all together. Taiwanese Rice Farmer going after Batshall there. Duke Nito going down first though, quickly followed by Squishy, but then Sky Archer, Sir Ramrod. This is a 1-for-1 fight here. Mech Enjoyers with the armor advantage at this point to Jagus going down in that Hellfire. Let's see if MEU is able to pull it back here. Dubious Squirrel going down. It's now 3-on-5, 3-on-4 as Batchel goes down. Both these teams focusing fire very well. Just a little bit of confusion there, getting him ahead. Hydro Kyle getting leg. Taiwanese Rice Farmer going down in the meantime. So they're going to get Hydrophile. They've got Unfearing probably up next, but Direwolf saying pulling back in the meantime, opening up Red Panda. Red Panda 1 touch, and we are left for Acerg.
Yeah, 1v3. It was looking good there for Union for a bit, but then they started to falling as their armor was already getting quite low.
Unfearing taking the last kill yet again. That's 2 in a row for last kill for Unfearing. Right, closing it up. So that is better than their last. I mean, you certainly stepping it up for this one. Taking a look at the damage, 572 Hydrokyle and that Viper, the star damage of that team, and then we see ME capped out at 375, 335. Again, this is a tale of damage. Some of this just due to pushing into that concave, and I think some of it just due to there might be some build questions in there, but certainly the focus fire of ME has taken down those mechs very quick.
It's a good fight. I love to see the Zeus on the battlefield, playing that aggressive brawl push there.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's got lots of armor, and it's rather quick. And it should be the tank and the first one in. That is another thing that happened there is that Zeus was laid in, and it's got some weapons, but mostly it's fast and it's got armor. It's sort of the tank you should be using to get the rest of your team in there rather than the someone in the middle of the pack. But here, I'll send us over to the map room while I get these folks set up. Yeah, looking at what happened, and we'll turn it over to Deus.
Well, to me it looked like the teams decided, the MWO teams decided to use the, I'm sorry, both teams to use the clan honor rules and literally duel it with each other with bad shells. It looks like the MWO team decided instead of Capstrat to use another fairly common strategy in cases where you realize that the opponents are shooting much accurate than you. So they decide just attack the enemy in the Brawl format, in Brawl formation. They took a fairly quick composition with masks and just left into the enemy. But this time they simply lack of focus because it's literally just been mm, no, they just dueling with the enemy mechs instead of focus fire, and this is maybe main reason that they fall, because it looked like to me that Mech Enjoyers team was a little confused at the moment because they overextend and didn't wait to push. They don't scout on the MWO team and don't fall back, and they don't spread. They stay on the same position with Almex, and it's maybe a bad situation for them. But MWO just suffer a lack of focus in fire.
Yeah,
It's that's I see.
I do think that one came down largely to focus fire as well, just
I mean,
the target prioritization, and then a little bit everybody finding the correct target.
Yeah, I would agree with that, along with a little bit like the one of the minor things, like I was mentioning, that Zeus has the ability to get in there and soak up a bunch of damage while everybody else just wreaks havoc. So it really should have been the first one in there. And that can make it's a minor difference, but like against the focus fire, I'm not sure that would have made the difference, but I think it's a contributing factor.
All right, next map up is Hibernal Rift.
Yeah. Talk about Hibernal for a bit.
Switching that over to there. Any strategies that you want to, or discussion here on map features you want to go through, Audeus?
it's Hibernal Rift. Guys, I think on the previous stream, Ghosty have talked about this map. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've talked a whole lot about every map really at this point.
Yeah.
Well, on this map, I expect that team could just push each other by 4 line. I can't make any prediction because I didn't play against Mech and Zeros team on this map, but it's looked to me that MWO team use some generic deck with the hacks and some high DPS mechs, and they pretty flexible because there are 2 times that we played against MWO. They always take position on there and receive our push by 4 line. But I don't. I think that in this situation, in this case, which side they pick? Which side they
So
pick MWO?
Mech Enjoyers Union is Team 1.
Yeah.
Mech
Team
Enjoyers
one.
North America is Team 2.
Okay. Maybe this changed something because on team 1 there is less position where you could receive push. And because, well, there on the team 2 side, there is a good position on here, here, and here, I believe. And it's a much wide angle. And on my memory, most team 1 team decided to push. So maybe it's will be a game that mech enjoyers, like in the first game on the Victory Station.
Yeah.
It will be game that in this game, MWO could push by
Yep.
for line, and so mech enjoyers team will receive. I can't talk much because I don't know mech enjoyers team, because it's just different time zones. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot from these teams other than, some of the previous comp matches that we've been trying to go through, but it all starts to blur together. I think both teams are ready now.
Yes, both teams are ready.
We'll go ahead and get into that match.
Thank you. All right, checking out Hibernal here, and I end up clicking into somebody's. That's wild. I can click anywhere on the map, and it just decides to bring me into a cockpit here. That's unfortunate. We get this. Make sure this mech isn't leaned in anywhere, but it looks like I'm in an annihilator here. All right, yes, and as I was on Fearing, I'm on the mech enjoyer side on Fearing in the annihilator here with 2 ER PPCs, 3 ER large lasers. That's an interesting build for that one. The Crusader over here, Direwolf with the binary lasers, Bucks with fairly standard Keeper build here. Large pulse lasers on that Stalker means a little more close up. So it looks like Mechajoy is going to play the sides here with their Wolf Pack looking to roam. All right, let's head on over to the Union. What do they got?
They are pushing up. They're playing a fair bit of red laser type stuff. The Executioner's actually at Theta, which is maybe a bit of a unusual positioning there for an opening move, but that definitely tells me that they are pushing. The rest of them are set up for the Epsilon push here, and there they
Blue
go.
Devil taking a bunch of hits as they approach, and MEU jumping early onto ME, but their Theta crew is going to take entirely too long. But they managed to take Direwolf down in exchange for Grill Squad. That's an Arctic Wolf in exchange for a Crusader. That's pretty good. Duke Nito going down to 50% in that Zeus again, but they take Acer first. Nope, there goes Duke Nito shortly thereafter. And it's just an outright brawl here. Dejagas in the Orion seems to be the focal point next for Mech Enjoyers. There we go. MEU looking to focus someone down here. Dubious Squirrel going down. It is 5-2 at this point. Blue Devil Spawn holding on there in an Executioner as we've been watching. Sky Archer going down first. As Mechajoyers just has their choice of targets. Devil Spawn going down to Heat, and Red Panda here just getting absolutely, well, I'd say bodied, but that was really legged. And that is over so fast. 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes.
That's a full send
start
push.
To finish on that one.
No hesitation. They had their strat prepped out, just made sure that they timed it when they came around the corner and over the top simultaneously.
Yep. Well timed on and focused on Mech Enjoyers side. MEU, that split, those folks on Theta were late to the fight ultimately, and I think that probably could have turned it a little bit. The focus fire of Emmy, absolutely deadly. Double D'ing Dubious Squirrel and Grill Squad there. Double D'ing in that Arctic Wolf is that is unfortunate. That such a high. That's like less than an alpha of hits for that mech. So, but again, we see high damage here from ME as well. That keeper putting 516 with bucks on there. There's some of the more stats there. We are so very early right now.
Yeah, that was a quick 3-0 there. Mechanjor is coming out with a match win over Mechanjor's Union. Very fast push there in the last one, and so yeah, I mean, just very, very fast match today.
Yeah, that was absolutely just very decisive. I expected a bit of closer matches, but you know, it is what it is at this point. These teams very used to playing against each other. I'm not sure how their internals go. All right, yeah. So we'll get these folks churning around, but yeah, Hughes, I'm gonna head on over to the map room if you want to, you know, throw in your 2 cents of what just happened there. All like minute and 50 seconds of it.
Okay. As I said, the MWO team decided to push. They choose a good strategy, approaching from different sides, and they had a good angles. But well, maybe they just little bit lack of focus fire again. I don't know what to say because it's a pretty common situation. So team 2 receive, team 1 push, and well, what can I say?
Yeah, we've seen Epsilon pushes before. Previous comp was a very common strategy in Canyon Network. Hibernal's basically a remake of Canyon Network. The one adaptation here that was maybe a little bit different was having the Executioner cross over Theta. The rest of the mechs were kind of held up at Epsilon for, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds waiting for the Executioner to be in position.
Oh, less than that. We didn't have that much time. I mean that's like what, a whole sixth of the match. I don't think it quite came to that. I'd say probably maybe a good 10 seconds though, because they were there pretty quick. And then
Yeah.
the Theta team really just kind of hung out at Theta for a bit, trying to find Emmy, the Emmy team, and then they started to cross. Meanwhile, you know, the fight was kind of going on over here, Charlie 4, Charlie 5, and that team got there
Yeah.
a little late. And also they had that that Emmy Overwatch from the volcano also put out a whole bunch of, just able to capitalize on the
Yeah,
attention.
and the thing about Mechanjor's North America team, they're receiving, but they seem to anticipate the brawl. They probably know their opponents pretty well. I'm guessing they do a lot of internal skirmishing. They brought a lot more DPS in their decks than a trade deck. It was, while they were setting up in trade locations like the volcano, they were not trade builds on their stalkers. Like the Highlander had kind of, you know, some SRMs mixed in on its build as well. So they were more set up like a hybrid range with brawl or even mid range on their mechs as opposed to pure ranged trade. Definitely, it looks like they were anticipating being brawled to me.
I would definitely agree with that. All right. We've got with us Direwolf. Hey, Dire.
Hey, hey, hey.
And as folks can see, things are, oh geez, name is so long. I'm just gonna call it Direwolf. Yeah, so welcome Direwolf. Well played on that last match. And we are gonna move and Dave, feel free to stick around as well as you feel on the commentaries here as we do some transition. But yeah, why don't, since we have you here and you were just in the match and we need to, you know, to pull back the curtain a little bit, we need to stall for time a bit since we have a whole 35 minutes until our next match, you monsters.
I mean,
Making those
we
matches
can-
so fast.
we can group everybody back up and we can go for 5 if you want.
No, that's all right. All good. But why don't we talk through let's see. I would like to hear your thoughts on Polar there. Like, what was Polar like from your side? I saw it probably mostly from the MEU, seeing that they seem to have initiative on the push and y'all were looking to receive. Like, did Hydro catch that, scout that out before he got a little bit pinched there, or were you guys just kind of waiting until he almost got jumped?
So, if I remember correctly, it was Bucks actually caught the push. And that's why he was kind of falling back a little. He almost got caught for free, but Viper jump Jet's OP.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, pretty much from there, like the rest was written. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing much to it. Like what you saw was basically exactly how we planned for it to go. Just receive whatever ends up happening. Just from watching how this map gets played from many different teams. It's just kind of what we're expecting most teams to do.
That makes sense. It is, for being such a large map, it is very pushable. So that's kind of
cool. Because there's all these little nooks and crannies that you kind of get really, really fast mechs through, especially like a Zeus. Love the Zeus enjoyers. We stand. You know, they had the Zeus, the Skull. They had a lot of mechs with masks, so being able to cover that distance on this map is huge.
For sure. All right, let me see what else is happening here. How about Vitric? What would your assessment of what happened on Vitric there be as well? Our consensus was it was a little bit mistimed with their lighter mechs. But did you guys see anything different on your receive there on your end?
I mean, this pretty much exactly what happened. Just their timing was off. Their bigs bled a lot. We've practiced that strat so many times, countless. That's our bread and butter right there, essentially. Of myself and Bucks being up there, being the anchors for the team, accepting whatever push comes through, and just kind of the lights really spreading out, denying Theta. Because Theta, at the end of the day, is like the most important on this map, in my personal opinion. Because really just depends on how much of a cap you can get on Theta. So that's why like Shadowcat's really sitting there trying to deny Theta as much as possible. And I feel like once we get later into the tournament, we're gonna really start seeing a lot more of the low ground fights for Theta, as opposed to more of the like higher, like on the high ground. Especially for like the lights, especially kind of sitting skirmishing around it, trying to see who can get the upper hand.
Been a bit of a mixed bag so far of teams succeeding with pushing or not on this map. You anticipate that as the tournament advances, teams will continue trying to do various pushes, either the Super Mario jump on the side or the over the ramp mass push, or is that going to be something that fades away with more emphasis on setting up to receive or even taking side trade positions?
I think it depends on the team and what that team wants to do. I definitely think 100% like having just the most amount of DPS possible, but still being able to affect trade is really huge, especially for Vitric, for instance. So if you can get like 1 or 2 kills on Vitric before like really need to necessarily push and just preserve long enough, it just becomes a push at that point. So it really just depends on what each team wants to do. Different teams have different styles of play. Like we saw KDCM Thursday night, if I remember correctly, and they just kept pushing on every map, and they're really, really good at it, really effective at it. But you've also noticed they were starting to add more trade mechs into it. I think we saw like a Marauder 2C. We saw, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a Blood Asp KDCM brought on Crimson that they used just to Giga Drill the Dire.
Yep. Well, they like half the team Giga drilled the Dire. It was Blood Asp on Blood Asp for a lot about that FDLR and Stickafish, sort of trading in their Blood Asp while the rest of the team, played a game of chicken.
I definitely think the meta is probably going to go towards how last year's Worlds meta was just fast vomit as much as possible, especially with how a lot of these maps are. You look at Polar. If you can close the distance in and still be able to do that damage up to 500-600 meters while you're closing in, you're going to have a really successful time as long as you're not bleeding yourself. That's why we're starting to see a lot more Highlanders. Highlanders are incredibly effective, especially with how tanky they are. I don't remember seeing Highlanders last year at all.
No, I don't recall Highlanders being used. I think the Hag has made a difference on Highlander use. We're not seeing Hags on all of the Highlander builds that various teams are pulling out, but Hyper Assault Gauss option kind of really does, in my mind, bring some other clan mechs in the assault category back into potential use in the meta. Marauder 2s as well, Marauder 2Cs.
Yeah, we did see, if I recall, some Highlanders early, especially like the PPC builds.
Right, yes.
Earlier this year, maybe towards the end of CS22. There were some in there, but it was basically on mining. I don't know that I saw it on any other map.
That's kind of like a specific player preference, I think, as well, as opposed to like wide adoption across multiple teams. But we have seen that the quad ERPPC Highlander on Casterian Guards uses it, and I think also Abens, I think, might use that as well.
Last year,
confident.
I believe they used it on Rim, the quad ERPPC.
Oh, I can see that on Rim too. Yeah.
Uh,
Although that actually kind of leads us into something I've been kind of scratching my head what we're going to talk about for the next like 30 minutes here. Do you mind talking a bit about putting together a deck? I think that's something we haven't necessarily talked about, and especially if we've got some new folks in here. And it's a really deep and complex topic, you know, because you have to run it by who are your players and what are their strengths and all that kind of stuff. So that may be a good one. So Dyer, if you want to like pick a map and talk about mechs that you might want to bring on there, like your shoe-ins and your optionals or your absolutely no's.
you know how I feel about deck building. Oh my.
Well, there's a reason I asked.
So, I mean, Vitrix honestly, Vitrix probably one of the best you can do for deck building because you can do so many different things on. You have your standard push of just straight SRM DPS go, where you can bring a lot of like, we're starting to see like Arctic Wolves, for instance, the ones with jump jets where you can run like 5 SRM 6. Javelin 11Fs can be built to have the ability to jump from the bottom to top. You know, we saw that play in I think ISC, Blood Leagues. I didn't watch TOS, like even in CS right now for the finals and Invitation as well. Like again, Kit Foxes as well. If you want a more effective SRM option that has the ability to go a little bit faster, a little bit better quirks, opposed to like the Jenner 2C, the Toilet Bowl Gaming. And you're also starting to see like the Direwolf kind of fade out more, because it's not what the meta is shaping. Decks really depend on what you want to play and what the meta is evolving into. Like another really good topic is last year's Worlds. We saw the meta kind of shift from the long range kind of abstract play to push vomit, where you're starting to see a lot more. Like, ever since the Crusader got introduced, pretty much starting to see a lot more of that push vomit. The Marauder 2C, before it got its armor nerfed and everything. I think right now, for Vitric, a Crusader build of any sorts is like a must. You have to have a Crusader at this. DPS on it with the small lasers is insane. And it's not too horrible on heat either. Vipers as well, another mainstay. Incredible DPS. We're starting to see different builds of Mistlinks, so again, that's kind of another shoe-in as well. If you want to run like a high DPS pack, Viper Mistlinks is always going to be really good. I'm a huge fan of the Executioner. It's like arguably the best mech in the game. What it can provide and what it can do is really amazing. So I feel like personally, that's another mech you should be putting in your decks. right now, Highlanders, again, like I said earlier, like they're just the amount of armor and which they can provide is absolutely wonderful with their bracket builds. Warhammer 2Cs, granted, they are like on the weaker end of assaults. The amount of firepower that they can bring, like the Maul, for instance, is like one of the staple like LPL hag there are. So now, if I was pushing on this map, I would probably do Viper, Mislinks, Arctic Wolf. I would argue the Phoenix Hawk here. Phoenix Hawk or Javelin, just depends on what you bring. Crusader. The Summoner B, because it has that speed tweak quirk on there, you can go like 90 kph after skills, running like the big SRM boat. Executioner. Is that I'm at 6 or 7?
I haven't been tracking it.
And honestly, probably just like either like a Marauder 2C because of how much laser vomit can go. You can put it on there and still have it go really, really fast. Kind of keep up at the tail end of the push. So if you're wanting to do like a hag push, you can. There's the Mad Cat Mark IIs, Warhammer 2Cs, Crusaders are a must. Supernova Broiler is also one that's been starting to show a little bit more light instead of the typical UAC 20 build. Again, the pack really pretty much stays the same because that pack needs to be able to kill, but you could also put a Shadow Cat in there instead, kind of give it a little bit more of that skirmish capability, kind of play that hybrid.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Shadow Cats this competitive season here, so very popular mech right now.
I mean, ever since like the Shadow Cat D got introduced for the Shadow Cats, it really was able to flesh out its role incredibly well.
That gives it the machine guns.
It's that left torso, correct?
Oh yes,
Okay.
extra energy hard
Yeah.
points.
What was that, Deus?
I have to go now. I'm sorry. See ya.
Yes. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for your insight.
Yeah,
look-
thanks for Meow and Messengers. It's interesting matches, and I think screams are always great. So, bye.
Bye, Deus. Thank you again. All
So, yeah.
right.
Now, here's
So-
my question to y'all.
Uh-oh.
Who do you think's gonna be 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, at the end of this?
Mm-hmm.
I filled out a bracket, but it's messed up already. But I can crack that back up and get you my rundown on that.
My thought is, I think Equilibrium is certainly in the mix. I think Equilibrium, Avens, and I don't know. Like I think the rest. I think it's between you guys and 5J.
Yeah,
Three.
I'll run through my top 5 here, and I think my top 5 is messed up, but it was partially based off of predictions of who would be eliminated or sent to the losers bracket on week 2, and who I anticipated that they would then play against, and who could beat whom in the elimination match here and then next week's elimination match. But my top 5, I've got Equilibrium in first, I've got Abins in second, I've got 5JDX in third. Some people are predicting them to be first or second, so that's a little bit lower than what a lot of people are predicting. And then I have KDCM 17, that would be the Q Dodgers, in fourth, which is probably a bit of an outside pick. I wasn't anticipating them being in the losers bracket as early as they've ended up. And then I've got Darksea Corsairs as fifth, which, the reason I've got Mechangors ranked a little bit lower is because of the head-to-head matchups that I was anticipating occurring. I was expecting Mechangors is going to be ending up against 5JDX early in this bracket, and the way things are playing out right now, it looks like that maybe is not going to come to pass. So we'll see what
Never
happens
say never.
here. Yeah, next week it's going to be Mechangors North American team versus KDCM 17 Q Dodgers, and then whoever wins that goes on to face the loser of Equilibrium versus Fifth Jaguar Dragoon. That's, I've got both of those teams kind of ranked higher mentally in terms of abilities than both KDCM 17 and Mechanjars, although those could be very close matches. So my bracket's completely out to lunch now already in the third week, so I've definitely got some predictions a fair bit off.
Yeah, it's okay. My predictions are completely thrown out the window. There was teams I did not expect to win that won.
Yeah,
KSG. Love those guys to death. They're proving me wrong every day.
I wasn't sure how strong to rank Casterian's guards because they've just been playing teams that nobody else is seeing, so it's hard to know. And they're completely different time zone than me. Like I don't even see the European teams generally speaking when I'm playing, so I don't know what's been happening with Casterian guards. It's hard for me to place how strong they are. I think I've underestimated them here, and then I overestimated GNX in terms of strength as well, which I hadn't really checked their roster, exactly who they had all lost. I wasn't sure how to interpret their final day when they ended up dropping in their seeding from a higher rank to a significantly lower rank and needing to even win a play-in to get into the top 12.
Yeah, there was the rosters I think probably have a bunch to do with especially GNX, because I know there was the split to ME.
Yeah.
And a lot of the hard hitters from GNX ended up with ME. So I think they are under strength right now from what they historically have been. And I think Casterian guards had a rough year last year, and I'm not entirely sure why. I know they had it was a little bit of a fight. I remember as DPS we ended up placing 6th, but KSG was never really a worry for us last year. But this year I think they would have been and have been for many teams. So I think there's that team is hitting different right here in this tournament.
Yeah.
And for Worlds, they have either stepped it up through the year or just like had a real off year last year and are back to the regular strengths, because they are one of those teams that's consistently, they're in the mix usually.
Yeah.
But I know last year was rough.
One thing I'm going to point out with Casterian guards here in the top 12, so far they've only played against KDCM, both KDCM Saturday Night Special and KDCM Q Dodgers. So on those, they were definitely playing hard toward a range receive and hard countering the brawl push decks that KDCM was running into Casterian's guards, which makes it a little bit difficult for me to judge how Casterian guards is going to face up against a team that plays a different strategy. So I'm looking forward to seeing some more of their games and seeing what they can do against some different types of opponents.
I think one of KSG's really, really strong points, and like this is what I noticed it from last year, was their ability to study their opponents and actually come up with a pretty productive counter strat to what they do. Because I got to play against them when they were, I think it was still they were still considered KSG in MWO2 of last year. And they were the only team just to wipe the DPS second team. So just their ability, I feel like, to study teams, to counter strat around them, to make situations for them favorable has really helped them, and they've only gotten stronger and better. Like they've had, I think they picked up DeRed from.
Yeah.
He's an Eon pilot, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, DeRed goes to Faster, veteran competitive player from a couple years back, playing on top 3 teams, prominent player.
Now, I'm not saying that's the only reason that they're good. No. But that helps them so much, having that experience, just that know-how.
Yeah, even if the veteran leadership isn't, like, the veteran player isn't the team leader, like, they can still contribute to strats or drop deck construction. I don't know if that's the case, but if they are, that can bring a lot to a team.
And actually, let's shift our attention to these teams coming up here, because we are, we have We have successfully vamped for a significant amount of time. We should shift into the pre-show for the next one, and we're looking at Darksea Corsairs versus KDCM Saturday night. Darksea Corsairs are essentially a new team, coming in after CS22. So earlier this year they were founded, and they are, they tend to be fairly aggressive. I know one of the DSC tagged folks is playing for Equilibrium. That
Yeah.
would be Chicken
Chicken
Man,
Man, yeah.
who is absolutely a hitter. But there's on this team there's just no. They have a lot of experience here and a lot of hard hitters, and they're just working together here. They've had a pretty good season. They started Div B for ISC, which I remember the debate was how the hell did they end up Div B based on what their roster was. Now, granted, they had Chicken Man there, but that's not. The rest of the roster are no slouches either, and then they're pulling second in Blood League and third in TOS. This is a team to keep an eye on, even though they're new as a team. Some really excellent players. Let me find my info on Saturday night, which is sort of our KDCM B team.
Ivor, I think you have a sound issue on the main channel.
Oh, sound issue on main channel. Cool. Let me see. It may. Let me take a look here. That's unfortunate because that's going to be for 7 minutes. But yeah, so Saturday night special coming into this tournament. Talk while I fix. There we go. Now we have sound.
All right. Yeah, anyway, we were talking about the teams here. Darksea Corsairs. It's a bunch of veteran comp players that have been around on various different teams, but they've kind of formed up on a new team now. A couple of names I recognize from kind of more middle division teams, I think.
Okay, goodness, the snafu shut every single person here down. I don't know what's going on. All right, the sound is fixed, and has been for a couple minutes here. So yeah, let me run into Saturday night special. Yeah, mostly kind of like a casual team of hard hitters. A lot of these players I have not entirely run into before. So they ended up being fourth in ISC for Div D, swept Div D in Blood League, and then took they went to the KDCM League for Terminus Stars, and now they're back in it for real here. With some really let's see here who we got here. We got Smoke Dog, who started in 2023 ISC Claw, back from the KCOM days, a long-term KDCM member. Crazy Indian Joe here started in 2022 on Fjord. So a lot of movement over here.
Yeah, that's
some old ISMO and KCOM pilots as well that have sort of been a little under the radar, I think, coming in the past couple of years into the comp scene.
Yeah, it's a couple of names that I recognize. School Softener, Haven Warrior, and Wave the Ferret. I believe I've seen in competitive in the past. But it's kind of an amalgamation of players from various teams as well. There's been a fair bit of movement in competitive players this past year, from one team to another. And also a bunch of newer players as well. A number of these players here, the notes are indicating that they started playing uh, either MechWarrior Online in the case of Trommel 54th this year, or just getting into competitive in the last year.
Which
to
is
see.
actually really, I think Chicken Man had a similar path, getting into MWO, probably, if I recall, maybe a little less than a year before making the jump to comp. Just an absolute hitter of a player, and now over with, pretty sure it was Equilibrium. Double check that, but either way, yes, with Equilibrium, just throwing out damage left and right. Absolute monster of a player. So yeah, those are sort of our rundown of what these teams are. What do you guys think we're going to see here as I start to get things set up?
I would like to say that I'm going to see something other than push from KDCM. I think we ran into them in the queue once when I was playing with my competitive team in ComQ, and I think they played something other than Brawl against us, which kind of threw us for a loop. But I think all I've seen in the tournament so far from KDCM, number 18 Saturday Night Special, has been Brawl. I can't recall them playing something else today. So
Yeah.
I think they're just going to keep going with the Brawl.
It is a KDCM team after all.
It's true. Although they have seen some versatility. I keep saying it and I keep wanting it to happen. Like KDCM was able to trade, I guess. I haven't seen it, but they were trading a bit earlier in the season, and a little bit last year as well. So we'll see how it ends up.
We're basically getting over to map and time. I'm not sure if the teams are starting to come in or if we want to.
Oh yeah, Hollow's there. Smoke Dog will be here in a minute for the KDCM team. I think they're just probably finishing something up, and we'll move on to the map ban. But here's I guess speaking of maps, we don't know what's let's and predictions. Dyer, what do you think these teams are going to choose for their first few maps? What are the first three, do you think?
First map's gonna be Vitric, calling it, and KDCM's gonna push. DSC's probably gonna do a receive. Then we're probably gonna see Hibernal Mining as 2 and 3.
Okay. Interesting.
I think 4 will be Crimson and 5 will be Polar. Now they're just gonna throw everything I just said out the window, and they're gonna go to Crimson and Polar first. So.
I think that
Right.
Polar's a map
And
that
actually, let's both
KDCM
teams
might
are
be looking to
actually
play.
yeah, and both teams are ready here. So I'm gonna switch us over to the selection, and I am going to I'm gonna go ahead and get them started a little early here. So taking a look at oh geez, I forgot to pull up the map ban for this one. I think I sent it to you, Dyer, and then forgot to pull it up myself. That's smart.
Darksea Corsairs has the first map pick for the first map that is going to be played.
Yeah.
See what they pick here. They are, there we go, Polar Highlands as the first map. So that's Darksea Corsairs making that pick.
And there's Polar Highlands right off the bat. Oh, thank you. So Darksea Corsairs with that pick on Polar, that's going to be interesting. And then mining. I'm wondering if Corsairs is thinking like a cap strat against a push to secure that early win.
I wonder that as well, but we've seen a fair bit of pushing from Darksea Corsairs, so I don't know if you want to brawl into KDCM, but maybe they do.
Entirely possible.
Third map is Hibernal Rift, another quite brawlable map. There are other ways to play it though. There are options beyond Brawl available to these.
Yeah, and actually something we're seeing from a lot of these teams is their mobility. The mobility is really showing its strength. EQ is just a very mobile and aggressive team. And let me get this in here.
So Vitric is map 4 and Crimson is map 5. If we get to the 5th map,
Yeah. And then obviously with the push team, you're hyper mobile as well. Emmy, obviously, with a very strong wolf pack and moving their Overwatch tendencies. And we've got 5JDX with probably one of the meanest wolf packs in the game right now. So we're seeing that trend, I think. KDC, I'm choosing Team 2 for the Mining Collective. We're going to be swapping sides for Hibernal. Excuse me. Which leaves us with Vitric up next. Vitric very we'll see what the sides end up. Interesting that Vitric was chosen so late. To Dyer's point, Vitric is a little bit of a, because it's so symmetrical, is a bit of a throwaway. Also, speaking of Dyer, are you aware that you're muted? I guess would be the question. I haven't heard from you in a bit.
Oh, yeah. I'm just
Okay.
here to bring the flavor of meta, so.
Fair enough. All right, and we are on Crimson Straight, where DSC is going to be Team 1. All right. So the selection is complete. We got 3 minutes to go. So our first map up here is Polar Highlands. So speaking of bringing the meta, let's talk some Polar Highlands.
Yeah, so we're just talking about this earlier, how easy it is to push on Polar, especially using a lot of the safe routes and everything. I'm assuming DSC is Team 1.
Yes.
DSC on this one is yes.
Okay, cool. So realistically, they're probably gonna go for a 3-cap hold of like Epsilon Theta Kappa. That's just kind of really traditional. However, you do see a lot of other go for like Epsilon Theta Gamma, as Gamma has a really good vantage point of Theta and a really good trading spot. So we'll probably see some action there, probably some light on light fights, or we could just see the entire roll there, like you saw in the last match. KDCM, I'm fully expecting them to grab Sigma and push straight through Theta and catch DSC completely off guard, but I think DSC is going to bring just enough DPS to be able to salvage the map. Again, gonna look at like Xyz, Black Lanterns, Skulls, anything that can really go fast, has a lot of DPS, a lot of firepower, coming from honestly both sides. I expect them to both bring Xyz, Skulls, Crusaders, and Black Lanterns.
Yeah, we could see Brawl versus Brawl. Definitely an option here. But if you know that your opponents are pushing, there are some receives. So see how these teams play it.
Yeah, and expect DSC to set up over here, I think in Hotel 6 Golf 7, for that receive as usual. I see there's a path drawn here on Team 2. I think that's probably more direct of a path than we're actually going to see. I would imagine we're going through like the hotel line high is where those tend to be into golf, but that receiving line can be absolute. Oops, and I just took it and moved it. This receiving line can be really nasty, and should a team decide to wrap around Gamma here, and just really unfold and focus their attention that way, it's a really versatile starting point. It's kind of like in Crimson, where you see some teams set up on Epsi, especially on that Team 1 side, and they just wait for the island to either develop so they can shoot about it, or see some trading opportunities. It's sort of a stopover place before you develop your move a little farther. Maybe see starting the timers here for Team One, and maybe see, get some of that scouting info. Maybe send a light over to Kappa, and then back in. Give yourself some time. I think Team One does have that. If a Team Two is pushing, they have a really nice opportunity to set up a hold on caps.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest questions is going to be is if DSC does go for a game, what cap are they going to go grab first? Is it going to be Kappa? Is it going to be Gamma? Me personally, I think Kappa is a little bit more the safer route, but it also leaves that mech out of the fight longer. If I remember correctly, it's the furthest away from Theta, and it leaves you out of the fight for so long. So you have to have like a spider or a flea, something that goes really, really fast to be able to grab that cap and then get back in the fight as quickly as possible. That's why Gammas will probably see a lot more play for lights as opposed to Kappa, but again, Kappa's just to grab it and forget about it almost.
Gamma's also got that high ground the team very much enjoy, putting either range mechs for trading purposes or even just a light mech to get a good scout from the high ground. So we've seen clashes around Gamma. I don't think we've seen clashes around Kappa yet in championship.
I definitely think it's gonna be a fight on the northern side of the map towards Gamma, just like last match, ironically.
Yeah.
Because it's so much open terrain down there as well towards the Kappa side, towards that southern side of the map. It's a lot easier to play that northern side. A lot of cover, a lot of hills, a lot of little cheeky positioning for lights and stuff. But again, you got to look out for Theta as well, just a little bit there.
Yeah, and taking it can give you a bit of advantage if you're able to sneak it, but it is so often a trap. Those mechs will just sit there and wait to pounce on you if you take it. But if you can get it, can apply a little pressure and force them to come into Theta as well. Let's see, we're coming up on 2.5 minutes here. 14-1 to lock.
Looks like
I know you.
Here we go.
I know you talked about it earlier about how teams in the private lobby putting mechs into certain lances. Yes. Look how DSC is set up.
Here, let me get over to the lobby here real quick, and we'll have the map up in the corner. So feel free to annotate as well. Yep, we're there.
So DSC again is set up Charlie Bravo. Gonna be a pretty standard, typical play, especially if you push for the Theta side area. You do have Red Baron up in Alpha, which I'm assuming he's the guy that's gonna go and grab Epsilon and then rush back to the team as quickly as possible. So you're probably gonna be looking at like a really fast light, something like a cap really quick, cap accelerator, like a commando, spider. Incubus has it as well.
Yeah, Incubus has been a very popular pick for that Epsilon cap. Either regrouping around Theta or heading for Kappa, depending on where at.
And ultimately, that map that goes to Epsi just needs to be able to catch up to the team before shit goes down, right? So, Cap Excel certainly useful in reducing that time, but equally something quick in any case. Or well, no, since he's alone, it would just be Baron rather than a team running over it. Also, these points are so close together, like on many maps, that it almost doesn't matter. It's harder versus something like let's see, Crimson's got some gap between them. Some of the other maps, like this one, is so clustered. Which, in terms of my opinion and my player, like, I like to spread apart caps because, one, it makes you think about these things a little more than saying, we'll just throw people in.
Yeah.
Or like on Vitric, you've got Alpha and Charlie, and there's really no reason to take Bravo. So it's that kind of a thing I like because they're a little more spread out. There's actually defining features rather than who is a second and a half closer to a cap. Kind of a thought, but that being what it is,
I really don't.
Well, sorry, not to cut you off, but in terms of what's happening here, like the Mex and Bravo have almost the same time to Sigma, on team 2 really than the alpha. If not, they may actually be a little closer. So it just seems a little straight. You know, it's close enough that it doesn't entirely matter, or you know, it's just a little more north. But those pathing angles do make a difference sometimes.
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
100%. I completely lost my train of thought. It's all right.
All good. And actually, speaking of losing train of thought, both teams are actually locked here. So let's go ahead and set them up, and maybe your train of thought can re-rail itself here.
Well, again, look how KDCM set up. 4 Alpha, 3 Charlie. Those are 2 separate sides of their spawn points.
Yeah, with one in Bravo, and that is the gap that we're looking where that makes a difference. It would be interesting if they spread them out, like maybe move Bravo to where Charlie is, and Charlie over to like Gulf 4 or something. Interesting take on it, but that is not where we are. That is not our current situation. We are on the Polar Highlands. Some very nice snowdrift up here, and some buildings that no one uses for cover. Map so big that not even the walls get played. So here we are, kind of in the center. Hang out on the aerial tower here while we wait for the teams to load in. Here we go. All right, I am headed back here to the KDCM side. Actually, I chose the wrong way on the... Oh, good. Just got myself a little turned around. Here we are. We are back with an Executioner and Gargoyle. Blood Asp and Incubus. What is on that Blood Asp? Blood Asp is the ER large, which that make the Gargoyle. Large pulse and a whole bunch of smalls. That is an interesting Gargoyle build. For what's happening here. ER large laters on Crusader. It looks like KDCM may have come to trade, quite frankly. How about the Darksea Corsairs? What's it looking like over
Corsairs, they've got kind of a hybrid drop deck, which is quite popular now. They've got binary heavy lasers on the Warhammer with ER Mead, so a mid-range vomit. The Executioner is quad ER large, but also has a bunch of red lasers. I've seen that either kind of trade or push depending on the situation. Crusader has ER PPCs, Vapor Eagle has ER PPCs, 2 of those, and then the Hellfire is also a mid-range vomit with the heavy large ER Mead.
So Darksea Corsair is not looking like they're setting up to receive. KDCM taking advantage of a quick theta cap. Probably going to snag as much as possible and then run with Taitetsu just tucking in next to this. But Indian is coming in that Black Lantern to push him off. We'll see how this goes. Indian moving to flip the theta cap as well. No one interested in Kappa seemingly, but Darksea Corsairs with a lot of their weight coming in towards theta. While KDCM is still getting into position, looks like maybe they're headed up Gamma into those fields where they would receive a push. So both teams now spreading out from their original push-like postures, and looks like they're settling into trade here.
Yeah, and trade here might favor Darksea Corsairs. They have perhaps a little bit more range than KDCM Saturday Night Special.
KDCM has a lot of ER large, actually, versus the binaries and stuff that I'm seeing. So I think KDCM actually would have the advantage on that.
It's close. I mean, I believe the Executioner was large pulse, was it not? For, I mean, the Blood Asp pure trade, but yeah, Executioner for
The
Steel
Gargoyle
Softener
is
is large
also
pulse. So it's
yeah, actually the Gargoyle is large pulse as well. The Crusader is 3 ER large.
Both decks pretty similar in that regard. Like the Blood Asp is a trade mech versus the Executioner for the other team. It's maybe a wash.
Taitetsu pulls back, and Way the Ferret are pulled back towards Sigma. And looking at KDCM, they've given up pretty much all of the map here.
Well,
they've certainly given up the 3 cap to Darksea's Corsairs Theta occupation.
Yeah, they've
taken
taken
just holding on Gamma point.
trade positions here, Pride Rock around Gamma, but the rest of the team is making a low ground push as they've recognized the 3 cap situation to 2 cap situation. They have to make a move.
But meanwhile, the mechs at Sigma, there's 2 mechs at Sigma, and actually it looks like that. I'm going to go over to that trap because that trap's about to be sprung. They're just tucked in here waiting. Oh no, they're moving off right as House. Nope. Maybe? Yes. All right. They've noticed House is getting jumped here in the Cap Spider.
Yeah.
He's got 2 medium X pulls here against Phoenix Hawk and a Flea.
They're lagging on my screen. I'm wondering, there's a slow reaction as well in the case of House. I wonder if they have a connection issue.
Maybe. Hard to tell. It looks like House using those jump jets to probably get away. Well, the rest of the team is
They're going
going
in.
up 5 against 6 here. It seems curious here. All right, so it looks like Smoke Dog and the Gargoyles getting a little thrashed on the incoming fire. It is spread all over as Ramen pushes in against Hollow.
Yeah, Black
Trying to get a
Lanter's
little
almost
hug, though.
legged.
They take him out, though.
Both legs off on
Absolutely
the Warhammer.
brutal legs. Yep. So looks like Red Baron's going to take out. Oh, no. Ramen explodes on his own. House finally goes down. Those mechs need to get in here. As this KDCM push is going sort of a man down here. Smoke Dog finally going down in that Gargoyle. Stool Softener about to go down against 4 other mechs. CT one shot.
Well,
and the Overwatch is just sort of picking here.
yeah, the push is over. This is, they got some damage in. They picked up a couple kills. But
yep. And yeah, Claw's got to pull out and get under his Overwatch here.
There's an open leg on the Hellfire on the side of Darksea Corsairs. Like, this could maybe go to Caps with a couple legs here. Black Lantern legs are not open though.
Yeah, and actually, let's see, we're pulling them over towards
Shadowcat is legged.
Kappa here.
So Claw needs to get out.
Yeah.
In order for this to be possible to go on a Cap when Claw's
nope,
down.
there goes Claw. Yep. Two back shots, not twisting quite enough there against the shots. Trommel just out of range here. Not really able to help much. Taitetsu taking Kappa, but
yeah,
he's got a Indian here in the Black Lantern about to run him over.
If that leg doesn't come off the Black Lantern, there's no way for a Cap win here.
Lantern is fresh on the legs, so I don't know.
Vapor Eagle coming in from behind. The Vapor Eagle is open on the legs. The Flea can maybe pick those legs off before going down.
Yeah. 61%. That's rough, but look at that janky movement. That is good Flea movement. Making it difficult for even me to click. Oh, but going down,
rear
that
CT.
looked like a rear CT. Yeah. Yep, there it is, rear CT. And then pushing over. So we've got Way of the Ferret and the Phoenix Hawk and then the Blood Ass. There's Caps are way on the side of Darksea Corsairs, as is Armor. Let's see. Way of the Ferret just hanging out here by Sigma, I guess.
Shadowhawk's pretty healthy.
Full cap.
Blood Asp is looking pretty good as well. Arm is open. There's no weapons in there. Side torso is a little bit squishy as well.
Oh, Trommel taking off Ivzovsky and the Executioner. Let's see. That was finishing off the legs there. Team giving him good intel. But here we've got a Hellfire. Opponent in the Hellfire trying to track down Ferret as he does and has Zelka's backup. Trommel still not really having any angles, but coming down off of Gamma to try to find some.
Blood Asp has to make a move for Theta. Not where they want to fight, but the Cap situation is such that they need to make that move.
Yep, and Theta is the obvious point there since it doesn't have quite the cap on it.
Yeah, it's the only one they can make it to in time. Phoenix Hawk has an open leg, Way of the Ferret, open yellow. They're getting cut off from the cap. They're going to have to fight for it. It's going to be a 1v2, maybe 1v3. That leaves Theta undefended, though.
It does, and looks like Trommel is closing in on that. There's still a mech left on Theta, but here's the fight. Way the Ferret trying to hold on against Indian. Indian's still fairly fresh, but there's some blue lasers, and there goes Way of the Ferret's leg, and the other one.
If the Black Lantern had leg damage instead of side torso damage,
different story for sure. Trommel down here at 68% with an open side torso. Red Baron just looks like bullying him in the Shadowcat here with the Pop-Tart heavy larges. Ooh, but Red Baron is legged.
Yeah, they've been legged for a while.
Got to be careful with those. Those jumps. Let's see.
The Theta cap's probably not enough at this point, even if this does go down to 3 caps for ADCM toward the end. I think the 2-cap situation for Darkseid Corsairs at 650 is enough.
It's yeah, that's probably going to work out here because they're getting pretty close here. But the rest of the team is here to back up Red Baron, and Trommel is going to go down, losing a half, just down to 2 ER large. That's not going to be enough to finish anyone else. Ooh, maybe Zelk. Maybe Zelk. Are you going to get it? No, not going to get it. Red Baron finishes that fight with Trommel, giving Darkseid Corsairs the victory in our first match here. And we'll take a look at the damages here. All right, let's see here. 622 for Indian in that Lanner, 642 in the rival, 500s on Poner, and I have Azov. That is largely uncontested except for Trommel and that Blood Asp. The next highest is 300 on KDCM. That push was entirely too many people down, and Trommel wasn't in enough of a spot to really make a difference in that little scrap that they had there. Let's go check and see if the stats have updated here, which they have. So take a look at those detailed stats while I move on to the next match here. And we'll send it on over to Dyer for a debrief and a prediction on what we're going to see next.
All right. So, wasn't a super huge fan of the builds that KDCM brought. I think they honestly lost it in the mech lab there, and positioning wise as well. The Sigma trap could have been beautifully executed. If they just waited like another second or two, they could have gotten that spider way quicker than what it took. Wasn't also a very huge fan of that spider as well with the medium X pulse, because it's a light mech at the end of the day. It doesn't really have a whole lot of armor, and it's required to like stare. And so with it, really, you kind of have to flutter the jump jets in order to get like good damage and not really take a whole lot. He wasn't able to do that. What I want to talk about was the face hug of that Warhammer.
Oh yeah.
Was a I understand why he did it, because he essentially just trapped him into that corner where he was. Granted, he also got shot a lot by his own teammates, ripped the legs off of the Warhammer, so give or take.
Trade isn't bad.
Yeah. Considering that Warhammer, I'm really surprised we haven't seen it more and more in those push vomit, because it has that speed quirk to it. It can run a really, really healthy IS laser vom. Again, running the binaries, running your mediums. And yeah, just DSC really executed this map very well. Just kind of held that Gulf 7, Hotel 7. That fight was up there towards the northern side of the map. They rotated back towards India 7 whenever they saw the KDCMX push. I definitely felt like the Blood Asp should have realized sooner that he wasn't getting as good shots as he needed to be in order to help that fight, because that fight was just, again, towards the Hotel 7, India 7, really wasn't more into the Hotel 8, which is what I think KDCM wanted it to be in, so that Blood Asp could just get that extra damage out. So, props to DSC. They played it very well. The Crusaders. I want to point this out. The 3-year large is an interesting choice, but it will lose to any binary laser, ERPPC, Snub Crusader any day of the week, and I will die on that hill.
Yeah,
so I definitely think the Crusader builds was another huge.
The ER large Crusader is a bit of an interesting pick. We've seen a 5 ER large Crusader used in a previous match, I think during the invitational seeding. But we've seen much more ER PPC, Snubnose PPC, and binary laser Crusader builds. ER large is a little bit of an outlier.
I can see the appeal of the like ER large Crusader because of its ridiculously high amounts on the arms and on the shoulders, but the really big power of the Crusader is just being able to add that extra DPS into that fight with, again, like the 12 small lasers it can pack. That one runs 11, so it really is kind of difficult to fill that. Run it with ER large, be as much of a glass cannon as it is, and still be able to kind of get in there the brawl, because then you're going to look at the key issues. And your PPCs are hot, but they're a lot more manageable, and you can just not fire them and still have the DPS of the 12.
All right, do we want to move on to talking about map 2 Hibernal Rift, I believe it is? No, Mining Collective, sorry.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
In either map strats or drop deck.
So mining is one of those, again, you can play it so many different ways. We've seen historically in the past a lot of teams take a lot of pop tart, a lot of long range play as well. But more recently, you're starting again to see a lot more of that mid range, that really get in your face brawl. We saw KDCM pull off a brawl receive / brawl themselves beautifully. Wasn't happy with their position, but they still just absolutely collapsed. So some areas I want to point out here is this Delta 4 area, the Echo 4. These two places are typically either going to be where brawls are sprung, or where you're going to see a lot of pop tart, a lot of trade and everything. Primarily, like a lot of pop tarts are going to be down here in Echo 4 near the southern side of the map. Places you want to avoid getting caught is right here, the Delta 5, Echo 5 low ground, and then also right here. These are kill boxes. You get caught in there in a brawl, you might as well just go ahead and sign off, because there's not much you can do there. Some other really good trading spots here as well is like Delta 6. You can also put a mech up here from the Team 2 side. You also have...
Yeah, one thing I'm waiting to see here is how, whether or not Team 2 is advantaged in the comp queue. Waiting to see the stats for that. I referenced it earlier, and I went and rechecked, and it's quick play comp stats for Mining Collective that give the Team 2 the heavy advantage. That'd be interesting to seeing stats for competitive play, just historically, or even just for comp queue, which would give us a nice big indication there.
And that's an interesting thought. I mean, it does have that minor theta advantage, but if you're not playing for caps, and a lot of teams have been more aggressive and more brawly.
Yeah,
I think this comp season than when trade was very much the meta for a while there, and you could just set up around it there. I think Team 2 would have certainly an advantage, because if you could take theta, you could hold theta, right? But now that teams are much more aggressive, much more mobile, which I love to see, I think we're probably going to see less of that advantage. I would be interesting to see what the trend is there, in terms of what it was versus what it is with some of the changes.
I love to see analytical data in that regard.
A couple of data people here, but let us rely less on the data and more on the players here as we launch them into Mining Collective's second drop here.
This is going to be very interesting. So DSC is actually set up, appears to be more so of a northern push, as opposed to KDCM's kind of more set for a southern push. So, which typically that's how a lot of teams also like to play it, but it's really curious to see if they're going to bring both brawl and just kind of circle around each other.
Circle around the drain, as it were. Yeah. I could see it. To your point, a lot of teams do split this map north-south. It seems intuitive to split it east-west. That is not necessarily the case. You know what? I went and hung out on the other side. Here's Mining Collective from the south, and both teams coming in here. I'm on the KDCM side. Let's see what we're looking at. We've got an Executioner, a Dervish, Crusader, Firestarter, Timberwolf. Let's take a look at some of these. Our Crusader here with the snub nose PPCs. That Dervish is going to be a whole bunch of SRMs, small lasers. The Firestarter I want to check out is heavy machine guns and small X-Pulse. Very interesting. Not typical. Our Mad Cat is LB's SRMs. This is a full-on brawl here. I'm just one more check on the Timberwolf SRMs, small pulse, and heavy machine guns on that Timberwolf. This is a lot of brawl. What are we seeing over on DSC?
Almost pure Pop-Tart. A lot of heavy PVCs, some ER PVCs. Shadowcat has Hag and Machine Gun. A little bit of a build variance there. Shadowhawk here from Sir Epic Pawner is light PPC SRM 6, so that's going to have to be the DPS here for that receive.
Yep. Now, I think KDCM has a potential advantage here, but they've got a lot of, well, I guess they're not entirely ground bound, but they're not known for their jumping. But they're getting up here on the Echo 4 high ground here as Epic Pawner comes around in the Shadowcat and I think spots the push, and here we go. KDCM gonna jump on Pawner here. I think Pawner probably done for. Ramen with the Crusader just a little late to the fight, but getting in there. Smoke Dog in the Timber going down.
Yeah, center torso.
First, though, and they're leaving Pawner in their backs. Ooh, that is a mistake on KDCM, closing on Royal Star and just leaving Pawner. Ramen turning to deal with that while the rest of the push goes on. Taitetsu tangling with the Crusader in the center with the Viper, also with Hollow in the Warhammer in the back as you got some Overwatch, and Taitetsu goes down. Claw trying to do a little bit of distraction there. Pawner finally goes down to his own heat. KDCM very split here. I think their push is a little disjointed here as Claw tries to push Indian into his friends. Is not going to be enough. As mislinks at 52%, but here we go. KDCM getting it all together, surrounding Indian here at 60%. They managed to take it out, make it a 2-2. Darksea Corsairs remaining mechs very healthy though. Claw finally going down the mislinks for a trade for Ivazovsky, for a trade for up armored Rickshaw. So this is Darksea Corsairs up on mechs and armor here. Way the Ferret, Stool Softener, trying to get to Royal Star here, getting pulled back to deal with Zelk, taking that out, tying it up 4-4 as Darksea Corsairs starts to retreat a little bit, gain themselves some time. That being said, they left another mech behind Royal Star to shoot them in the back, and Way the Ferret goes down
Executioner
to
is
center
healthy,
torso
though.
back. Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
legs are still quite fresh on that Executioner, so there's no stopping it moving forward here. Warhammer's leg.
Hollow losing a leg, I think, right there to those small lasers. Now it's Fire Ant and Hollow versus Trauma. Let's see how they got that
Headshot
one.
on the Executioner.
There it is. That is honestly, I think, a tide turner. I think
Yep.
KDCM probably had could have taken Hollow down, put some damage on Fire Ant, but that's down. Ramen down to, I'm not sure, rear or center TC. They're not even going full legs here, the Darksea Corsairs. The Stool Softener takes out that Shadowcat finally, and Royal Star again left to fire here. KDCM just leaving mechs behind to shoot them in the back.
Yeah. Mad Cat goes down center torso. They did take a lot of damage from the rear, though, from that Firestarter when they did a walk past.
And it was what was it over here? The Shadowhawk. Wait, that was a Shadowhawk. I was calling it a Shadow.
Yeah, they had both a Shadowcat
no,
and a Shadowhawk.
Oh.
It was the Shadowhawk
the
was the speed bump.
They left it. No, it wasn't even. They went over the Shadowhawk, left it there. That's 3 SRM6 and 3 light PPCs. That is no slouch in a fight.
Yeah.
And they left that at their back. That definitely well, it did. It cost them Smoke Dog here.
Yeah, that Executioner had an
out.
open yellow head. I don't know who got the head open there. And then I think it was the Firestarter popped the head off there. That was pretty clutch.
It was. I think momentum shift there for sure. So let's see what we're looking at for the stats here. 588 for the Mad Cat Mark II on KDCM, 715 for that Warhammer, Hollow's Warhammer. Wild. Let's see. Pawner managed to pull out almost 400 or 500 damage in that Shadowhawk. And where's our Firestarter? Another 500 damage in a Firestarter, just for, back shots galore.
The Shadowhawk essentially got picked, and yet it still managed to put out 480 damage before going down. That is significant.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 kills for Royal Star as well in that Firestarter. Wild. Yeah, looking at KDCM again, another damage spray, but we've got a Viper and a Timberwolf both double D'ing, and that is killer.
That Timberwolf went down center torso really fast. Good focus fire, and obviously it was a cold target, and everybody was hitting that center torso.
I don't know if y'all saw it, but Royal Star with that fire starter, almost all of his kills were back shots.
Oh yeah, they left him to do absolute work.
Yeah.
All right, we are switching sides here, but I'll send you guys over to the map room to take a look at what happened there. I'm sure there's lots to talk about.
Really, like, just the biggest story of that map was just leaving mechs unfinished. That Timberwolf, again, face hugging's starting to become a real big issue for him right now. That Timberwolf face hugging the Shadowhawk is the reason he died, 100%. And the push would have been really, really solid if they actually stopped, finished it, and then kept on going, or you kept the Madcat Mark II and like maybe one other mech to finish off that Shadowhawk, and then push into the fire starter, just keep on going through with your speed, your damage, and everything. But again, leaving mechs unfinished, just keep on going. The Viper, not entirely sure what happened with the Viper, but he was fighting a Crusader. Crusader beats almost every light mech in the game because of how much firepower it can bring. It's one of those really cool roles that the Crusader can fill. It's just absolutely deleting light with just the amount of weapons it can put on. And the Warhammer 9D was just talking about it last, of how strong it can be. Obviously, he was able to pull off 700 damage. Cooking his internals, though, a lot. I didn't know if y'all saw his internals. They were extremely cooked.
Yeah, and considering the amount of leg damage that mech had taken, internal damage is pretty risky there. Not just... Yeah, it's... sometimes you use that structure as extra heat sinks, and sometimes it comes back to bite you.
I've been in that situation once or twice. Blood Leaks definitely was a fun time. But yeah, again, it's just DSC, the ability for them to pop tart, use their PCs, use the jump jets, use the terrain, kind of essentially kite KDCM until it was time to finish it. It was honestly, in my opinion, that was textbook brawl receive on this map. I couldn't have done it any better myself.
Yep, they really stretched out their line, made KDCM go mech to mech while they continued to lay into them. And then the mechs that got left behind also continued to lay into them. It was a very good receive, though, on DSC's part there.
KDC
for sure
could have won that one.
Yep.
Took the split second finish.
And it would have, yeah, if they had taken Royal Star out, like bothered to finish him out, they had him surrounded and just like, hey, move on, leave the fire starter, I guess, who then killed 4 of them to back shots. And then leaving that Shadowhawk behind was absolutely devastating. Like, it just took a mech out right away to a back shot before they even knew. And then took another mech out of the push while they dealt with it.
I think they also had the Firestorm running small pulse and heavy machine guns, small X pulse.
Yeah, they did have a were they X pulse? I thought they were regular smalls.
I'm pretty sure they were X pulse.
Okay.
Watching the stream.
Either way, lasers and machine guns versus other things that you can do on the fire starter can make a big difference.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that the small X pulse machine gun like heroes for fire starters are better than the light PC or the small pulse fire starter you can run on the K with the laser. I'm not convinced that it's better whatsoever. Medium X pulse, maybe, but again, it's a light, and those fights and everything, you need to be able to twist a little bit more so you can actually spread that damage around rather than just face staring. So unless that's your pack is nothing but high DPS face stare and you just go eat legs, which kind of looks like what they wanted to do, but it was unsuccessful. And I would just rather bring a javelin than a fire starter at that point.
Fair enough. Although we have our first team locked, so let's swap it over to Hibernal here. What we might see from these teams here is a little bit smaller map than, or rather, arguably less cover, slightly less vertical. than mining, so we're not going to see quite the same thing, nor do they have quite so many avenues for escape from a push. So what do you think on here, Dyer?
Knowing the history of KDCM, this is going to be a straight team 1 to straight up that right-hand hook of just straight push into it. I did mark a certain spaceship on here. I'm still trying to see who we're going to give ownership to this spaceship to. I've seen so many teams die here. We saw it at the play for the 12th spot for Invitationals. SROT just absolutely got themselves eaten alive there.
Yeah.
So we need to know who owns this spaceship at the end of this. But yeah, it's gonna be that right hand swing by KDCM. A lot of push vomit, especially DSC. I think again, we're just gonna see a reverse wash of what their deck was of last map of just Pop Tart and Brawl Receive and going for legs.
All right. Well, I think that is concise enough. So let's go ahead and launch these teams in a Hibernal Rift. Could be the final match of this matchup. We shall see. These matches I expected to be a little closer this weekend, but they've been very, very decisive.
As we get further into this tournament, things should start to get a little bit closer as the competition kind of heats up. But yeah, these are elimination matches today. Both teams have a lot to play for.
Yeah. All right, so taking a look here, we've got Ivazovsky in the Binary Stalker. I'm sorry, 2 Binary 6 Eremides. Mislinks SRMs, UAC Marauder, Heavy PPC Crusader. We've got our Fire Starter with Royal Star in our standard light PPC. There's that Warhammer again with the binaries and mediums. And then our rival, let's take a look. I think I saw someone with blue lasers in an earlier match. Nope, ERPPC standard build here on the Dark Sea Corsair side. How's KDCM looking?
KDCM is doing an Epsilon push. SRM's LBX-20's large pulse on the Executioner. Crusader is Snubnose PPC, and the Firestar is looking at Epsilon with 8 small pulse as well. So full on push. They're doing a Theta move with the Mistlinks, get some scout, maybe take the cap, but they're going to send it around Epsilon momentarily. And I believe it's been scouted by the Mistlinks here from
yeah, absolutely.
Dark Sea Corsairs with the Red Baron here.
Yeah, and Red Baron in a little bit of a precarious position because like one mech could pin him down, but that's not what KDCM is about.
They're moving through the dropship.
They want that dropship, Dyer. I don't know what to tell you. I think they're saying it's theirs, but we'll see how they go. Stool Softener taking a 5% burn there. As what was that? The Shadow Cat just lets loose. But they are crossing relatively unscathed as Dark Sea Corsairs rotates towards the volcano and their Overwatch. That is going to be an issue. KDCM is going to have to kill very quickly in order to deal with that. Although we have a fight going on in the back. Red Baron and Royal Star jumping Claw in the Mistlinks.
Mistlinks legged and dead.
Claw going down. First kill, and that forces the
Fire Starters
over the top.
In the lead here.
Which is an interesting way to be.
Bush is making it to the volcano, though.
Real quick.
Summoner is halved, it looks like. Not quite, almost. The Trommels needs to get in there yet.
Let's see here. Indian the Crusader down to 62%. Yeah, Trommel definitely have. That is a big heat cap, but still got a lot of weapons on it. Taitetsu going down. There goes Ramen in the Fire Starter. Ivazovsky and that Stalker goes down in between, but we've got Owner on the outside as KDCM tries to deal with the folks in the volcano. Zelk going down, which will give KDCM a mech advantage. Hollow going down, they're keeping it up, but their legs are so hurt. Red Baron to heat. This turned around, and it could still, the remaining Dark Sea Corsairs mechs could pull it off. There's a lot of mechs on the field.
Unfortunately, the rival Vapor Eagle got caught in along the volcano, can't get out to kite this, but the Shadow Cat's trying to do its best. A lot of heat damage, though, on House.
Yep, Poner pulling back in the Warhammer, able to leg Smoke Dog and the Viper, who's just trying to push and menace in him. Poner's sort of out of the fight, but he's going to take Smoke Dog with him. We've got some large pulse coming from the end, I think. Yeah, Taitetsu and Ferret are going after him. Crazy Indian Joe goes down. Smoke Dog down to 31%. I'm looking for the rest of the fight here. Royal Star out getting some shots out on these mechs crossing. He's going to run into Stool Softener in that Mad Cat, do a little bit of damage, but Stool Softener very fresh now coming into the fight here.
Their Epic Pawners trying to almost got out. and got legged.
Yep.
So
And
the
neither team
Warhammer with no
bothering with
leg.
caps either. There goes Trommel finally.
This Viper's Smoke
Let's
Dog
see
is
here.
absolutely cooked out, 28%. There's no way
Oh,
it's going to
absolutely.
close.
Yep, Poner's just going to hold on to that. Poner is legged, could go down, but Royal
Yeah.
starts moving into cover.
Here it is. Mad
Royal
Cat's
Star's
pushing
probably
in.
going to take. Yep. There
Mad
we go.
Cat's got
Royal
legs
Star
that can
taking
take out.
away the fellow. Oh yeah. Royal Star moving to counter Stool Softener rather than finishing Taitetsu.
Yeah, it's
Oh, we've got
legged.
other
The
shots
Royal
on
Star's
Taitetsu.
legged.
One shot. That could be problematic here. Stool Softener.
Stool Softener's halved from the rear. No,
There we
this
go.
is
Taitetsu
over.
finally goes down. Oh yeah. Let's see what's happening here. Stool Softener holding on, not able to finish it out. That almost, they killed so many, but
I think they
so many
split
were left.
incorrectly after the volcano. Too many mechs chasing the Shadow Cat, which can escape, instead of going after the Warhammer, which cannot. And difficult to decide who's going to split for where. And you do need to eventually catch that Shadow Cat, or else you're going to lose to the Caps. But that Warhammer lived for far too long as a mech that was too immobile to make the escape.
Yeah, again, much like our mining, I think this is a tale of mechs left, not exactly left behind, but not closed on in that case, because Smoke Dog and that Viper was chasing, but got legged halfway there and couldn't seal the deal. Poner and the Warhammer pulling almost 800 damage on that. Hollow in the Marauder 644. Claw in the Mistlings getting stuffed at 12 damage, unfortunately. And then Ramen in the Firestarter going down at 94. There's also a damage tail here.
Shout out to Poner for showing why the Warhammer 90 is fantastic.
And all right, so looks like our scoreboard theoretically is updated. Let's take a look at that. That looks about right. So there's some of the more stats, and then we'll give that a couple seconds and send it over to Dyer for the final debrief on that as DSC closes against the Saturday Night Specials 3-0.
Again, who's claiming ownership of the ship? Because every single time I've seen a team push over there, get stalled over there, they lose.
Yeah. I don't know that they entirely stalled.
Oh no, they just pushed through that side.
Yeah.
I can understand why they did it, but not a very good idea in my opinion. KDC, I really thought KDCM towards the end there was actually gonna pull it off, and then I looked at the HP of the last remaining DSC mechs, and just realized DSC has the range, the health, and the ability to finish off all of those mechs. Like Sir Epic Poner just backing up, legging the Viper immediately. Great situation call. Was able to just finish that off, drag the fight out long enough for the Firestarter, who was completely fresh, sit there and get to that fight. I was worried about Royal Star there for a second because I really thought that Mad Cat 2 was gonna absolutely nix him out of the game, but Shadow Cat was still up. There was still a lot of speed and everything. Claw made the grave mistake of Light Fighting 101 is never take a 2-on-1 when you don't have a buddy.
Yep. And ultimately that jump, I think he probably, it happened a little off screen from my point of view. Not sure if you caught that, Therix, but I think he got caught out and jumped by Royal, and I am blanking on who else that was, the two mechs that jumped him, but I think he essentially got jumped, and they ended up chasing him into the firing line of the DSC firing line there, and that forced KDCM's hand to push in a disadvantageous position. Like they could have pushed up along the left flank there and cut the volcano out, but they had to move because now they were a mech down and they had two lights in their back.
You know, the Mistlings got caught out, and then the Firestarter kind of leading the charge as well. It seemed like things got a little bit confused. Something went, didn't get quite communicated right, or you don't really want the Firestarter leading the push 5-10 seconds ahead of the rest of the squad. Well, not 10 seconds, but at least 2 or 3. It kind of felt just a little bit early.
Definitely a time 100.
You want to say that one again there?
It was definitely a timing issue from KDCM, especially watching Claw just get absolutely eaten alive there. Did anybody catch the build on the Summoner by any chance?
I did. It was an SRM summer. I believe it was 8 SRM 6. And the side torso got opened up early, so it was kind of running around a little bit slow toward the tail
So
end.
if I remember correctly, it was a Summoner Prime, and go and look. Every Summoner has a CT quirk to help for it to do specific things.
Yes.
Prime has an energy quirk. I don't really think that helps with missiles. Yeah, I talked about it earlier, like running like the Summoner B with like the speed tweak, being
Yeah.
able to go up to like 90 kph.
That's
It's a
probably
little thing
a mech
in the mech
availability
lab.
issue. Trommel's the player who started in, I believe the sheet said April of 2023, so they've only got 6 or 7 months of building a mech stable at this point, so they might not own the summoner with the speed boost, for instance.
That might be, and it was a prime. I just we're just kicking off the
Yeah, having a
with
plus
the delay, it's just kicking
2.5%
off,
top
so.
speed would be better, or even just about any other center torso would probably a contender.
Yeah, but still at the end of the day, it's those small little adjustments that you can make in to really maximize out what your
Yeah.
mechs can do, what they can't do, especially with like the summoner platform, because we're seeing summoners being able to do a lot more doing a lot more effective pushing.
Yeah.
Its PPC builds are even stronger now.
I mean,
Just
10% velocity or 2.5% increased top speed doesn't sound like a lot, but at this level, you kind of want to really min-max that.
Yeah, I mean,
If
any advantage is an advantage, right?
Yeah. Ultimately unlikely to turn the fight, though.
I'm rewatching the playthrough here. That fight in the volcano was an absolute bloodbath. It was really hard to kind of keep track of everything there, but that's when like KDCM really was able to get the advantage. But like throughout the entire time, Serpic Poner was just standing still, firing, killing everything killing everything he needed to.
Yep.
Really just
And then-
secure that win.
And then actually, we're post that fight right now, where we've got Smoke Dog leg like immediately in the Viper. They left a couple of their weakest mechs in the volcano, while everyone else went off against the Shadowcat and the Firestarter, who just kited them to death. It's really, honestly, excellent play by DSC there on all ends, and keeping their heads about them in this situation.
Yeah, that situational awareness is one of the huge things that really separates a lot of different comp pilots from each other. You can train how to shoot, you can train pathing, you can train all sorts of different things, but having that awareness and that know-how really is something you have to develop on your own. Like, Serpic Poner was a prime example of that. Him being aware of what's going on and what's happening really helped the other two mechs be able to kind of draw in and help finish off the team. So
very much in agreement on that. All right. I think we've anything else we're missing on that drop? I think we've covered pretty much every detail on it at this point.
I guess we could go ahead and mention that next week we now know that it's going to be Dark Sea Corsairs that have advanced here, and they're advancing on losers bracket to round 2 of the losers bracket, and the upcoming match that is being played in what is that, like
about 3 hours?
3 hours from now. It's Clan Crossfire and Fjord, and one of those two teams is going to advance to face Dark Sea Corsairs.
And actually, that's a good. What do you think, Dyer? What do you think comes out on top of that one?
for the matches later today.
Crossfire and Fjord. Yep.
CXF because their logo's better. Still not salty about that. It's fine. It's definitely gonna be a really interesting one. I hope that one goes like till 5 games because
Yeah.
I definitely think Fjord can pull off an upset, but I just think CXF is just way more prepared. They're way more aggressive this year.
Yeah.
So they have something to prove from last year, definitely.
Oh yeah, they had an unfortunate last year. Just got knocked off their mojo, I think, when they came onto the North American server and never really recovered. But they are back with a vengeance. Fjord, on the other hand, I think has been playing in lower divs for this season. I don't know if they've hit Div B, but they are putting out a very strong showing in this top 12. They are playing very well as
So,
well. So
I'm going to go ahead and state that Clan Crossfire looked pretty good against Equilibrium in their match that they played last week. So I think it does favor Clan Crossfire against Fjord, Hunters of the Fjordlands. But I'm hoping it goes more than 3 drops. We've had too many 3-0s for my taste so far in this tournament.
except for the KDCM Q Daughters, who seem to take well, except for GNX, but no, they swept 3. Like when they lose, they always take one with them. So far this tournament, just straight up, which I think is an interesting trend.
Yeah.
But yes, I would agree with you. Clan Crossfire, very good showing against Equilibrium, who I think is one of the favorites for sure for the finals at the very least. Fjord, I think, coming into it with a very strong showing this year. I don't think this might be their first year in the top 12.
No, they were there last.
Were they there last year?
The last year they squeezed in 12th place or something. I don't have that in front of me.
No, I think they were a little bit higher. I think they were like closer. 7th?
Okay.
I could be mistaken. Somebody please correct me if I'm wrong, but
You know what? We have a thing. Let me look up Fjord
Yeah,
here
I'm
real
trying to
quick.
see if the
Unfortunately, I
information's
need
in
to-
there.
Yeah, but in which case, misstep by me. If they were in last year, then they are continuing their showing. Let's see here. Started in 2018.
It doesn't
Made it to
mention.
top 12 in 22. Yeah, it doesn't say which one, but they're continuing their qualification, and they are making a good showing in the I guess off seasons, the on seasons, the regular seasons, whatever we call it, the rest of the year. So we'll see if they're able to step it up here.
I mean, playing against them
Crossfire.
my apologies. Playing against them in the first week, they definitely caught Emmy off guard with Hibernal. Their push they were able to hit at the right times when they needed to. Still looking for that leg, but Fjord's just a very, very push team. Not quite at the same level as KDCM teams, but they're definitely they're getting there. I would say they're probably on par with SROT whenever it comes to pushes.
I would probably agree with that. And the Fjord story has been one of improvement, like all through the year and everything. They are just constantly learning, constantly putting in the work. Definitely a team to watch coming up because they're doing, I think, the right things to make that improvement happen.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that they lost a lot of pilots to the creation of DSC. And just that constant rebuild. I mean, granted, they have, I think for CompQ, I think they were boasting like 12 teams in CompQ.
Something like that. Yeah, they also have a very deep stable.
Yeah, half of the population, pure. But yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch. I want it to go 5. I think it'll be very fun to watch. So.
All right. And with that, let's wrap for now. We'll be back in about 3 hours with the final match for this weekend, Clan Crossfire versus Fjord. We'll see who goes on to face the Darksea Corsairs. Thank you, Therix, for the cast over on MWO2, and thank you, Dyer, for all of your insight on this match and in the pre-show.
Of course.
All right. Yeah. And thanks for the viewers and for the teams. We're nothing to watch if the teams don't play. So thank you all for showing up.
All right. Signing off. Have a good night. See you in a bit.